For decades, the Tekken series has been a cornerstone of the fighting game community. It's consistently praised for its intense battles full of combos and movement, but it's also known for its eclectic cast of characters that have become iconic in gaming history. From martial arts masters to bizarre creatures and everything in between, Tekken has consistently delivered a roster that not only packs a punch in the arena, but also leaves a lasting impression with its unique styles and visually striking designs. Fighting games are a beast that continuously evolves. No one can last more than 2 decades without innovations in all of its parts, and characters are no exception. Many fighters walk the path from being a newcomer to becoming an established part of the core roster. You couldn't imagine a Tekken game without Jin, Hwoarang, Zhao Yu, or Brian. Yet all of them were new once. It's weird, however, to bring up in this topic, those were different times, and games were being made differently. Back then, no one thought about selling overpowered characters separately to maximize profits yet. Still, Tekken 3 remains iconic to this day, in no small part because of its incredible roster. Games from the PS2 era onwards are closer to what modern Tekken is, so let's start there. Tekken 4 gave us Steve Fox, an unorthodox character that took away gameplay elements in favor of different ones. His story is deeply intertwined with some pre-existing members of the roster. Tekken 5 and Dark Resurrection introduced Fang, Asuka, and Lily. They all have strong themes and story beats, striking designs, memorable traits, and solid gameplay foundations. So what? All you need to have a good newcomer is cool visuals and a crazy fighting style that's way out there? Well, yes and no. We have had characters that went against most of the aforementioned and still garnered a lot of popularity. Akuma from Tekken 7. His inclusion was met with lots of hype initially, but it got soured by his forceful and generally ill-fitting inclusion in the storyline. And to call his gameplay as a 2D character that's generally doing his own thing while ignoring the Tekken Foundation's controversial would be putting it mildly. Still, he rose to the very top of popularity across the world because his gameplay allowed for lots of skill expression and his power level was high. It's not a coincidence that so many players from Pakistan, arguably the strongest region in the world, got so good at him. While there were examples of well-received and popular newcomers, every medal has 2 sides. Characters like Gigas, Lucky Chloe, Josie, and Master Raven failed to make a lasting impression. They were either weak thematically or took the spots of someone the entire community would rather see on the roster in their place. From where we are now, Tekken 7's newcomer feel like Bandai Namco threw everything at the wall to see what would stick. The game's console release saw 9 new roster members, with 7 more added in the post-launch content, and the majority of them didn't make the Tekken 8 cut. The game will only have 3 newcomers on release. One with a sharp mind would even think they drew some conclusions from this. And now, let's talk about the new Tekken 8 trio, Reina, Victor, and Azucena. Reina immediately and aggressively ticks all the boxes. Let's start with the story. Tekken 8's game director, Kohei Ikeda-san, revealed that Reina as a character was created during the development of the previous installment and that she would play a pivotal role in the storyline of the upcoming game. While this is in no way a guarantee that she will end up being a good character story-wise, it's at least a confirmation that she wasn't a last-minute addition to be tacked on with no sense or purpose. And it's not a coincidence that they didn't outright reveal her last name. Still, anyone remotely familiar with Tekken saw the writing on the wall. Reina is Heihachi's yet other illegitimate child. Her interactions from the trailer and her mastery of the electrics add more weight to the theory. It's a tall task to replace the promiscuous, grumpy old man. Heihachi was properly beloved by the community, but this makes her even more interesting. Her story holds many mysteries, and unless they're revealed to be something incredibly banal, Reina will, at the very least, hold a lot of eyes on her. It's hard to parse this from the trailer completely, but she's also supposed to be quite evil. This is already a direct contrast to most female characters in the series. The closest examples being the femme fatale sisters, pragmatic and ruthless, Nina, and flirty yet efficient, Anna. Bandai Namco also went all out with her visuals. They once again partnered with Mari Shimazaki, known as the author of Bayonetta's design, who also made Kazumi and Josie in Tekken 7. The task, judging by Ikeda's words, was to evoke a sense of duality of the character, while emphasizing Reina's bold personality and mastery of martial arts. And while the black and purple color dichotomy is a little bit on the nose, it, at the very least, looks supremely confident and fitting. Some already call her a Gen Z Mishima, and honestly, it's not that far from the truth. Her outfit screams modern streetwear, and her multicolored hair only adds to the impression. Now we're extremely curious to see which direction they took Reina's alternate costumes in. Will she go all out in her comfortable yet cool streetwear style, or maybe she'll have a sports attire like a karate gi or a tracksuit? We'll find out soon enough. Then there's her martial art, Taido. It was created in the 60s by Seiken Shukumine, a native of Nago, Okinawa. Some say he was descended from the lineage of kings of Ryukyu, and that his family was friends with legendary Gichin Funakoshi, father of modern karate. Shukumine was trained in karate-do from an early age, and later in life, he felt constrained by the style and requirements of karate-do. So he started developing his own style, Budo, which later became Gensei Ryu Karate-do. It was a martial art aimed to help even smaller and weaker people gain advantages in fights, with its increased fluidity allowing for more evasiveness in defense. However, he realized some of the shortcomings of the system, and several years later, he presented his most well-known martial art, Taido. While it most definitely takes some inspiration from karate, Taido is, for all intents and purposes, its own martial art. We have had many karate practitioners in Tekken over the years, and their style, however divergent, is usually rigid. Their strikes linear and snappy, and their form mostly traditional. This is best seen in Lydia's extremely authentic and realistic style. Taido is much more agile, fluid, and free-flowing, aimed to allow the practitioner to reach and strike the opponent in unexpected ways, back kicks, crouching kicks, and punches, back and front flips, and several other acrobatic maneuvers. Freedom of physical movement is one of the core concepts of Taido, and it's well represented in Reina's moves in the game. That's because the developers teamed up with Tetsuji Nakano, a 4-time Taido world champion, to bring all the moves to life correctly. But Reina isn't just a Taido practitioner. Her moveset incorporates some of the Mishima-style karate moves that serve as yet another possible confirmation of her origin. She's able to use Heihachi's electrics, his hell sweep, and some more straightforward, powerful and aggressive punches, kicks, grabs, and stomps that go against the Taido teachings. Again, duality. In essence, she's a new age, highly agile, evasive, and explosive character that passes the Mishima eye test. A Gen Z Mishima, if you will. But what is her role in the game? Was she conceived to just be Heihachi's replacement? Probably not. A far more logical explanation would be that she serves two purposes: to move the story forward and to diversify the Mishima profile, not replace someone else. Let's wait and see how she succeeds in either of those points. Victor is a French spy who's pivotal in the development of the global story of Tekken. In the previous installment, we saw Master Raven, who was a direct superior of the previous Raven and his field commander. The Raven Ninja Unit is a secret organization on the United Nations payroll tasked to watch the global balance of power between Mishima Zaibatsu and G Corporation. Enter Victor Chevalier, founder and leader of the Raven Force and Master Raven's mentor. In truth, Victor is the man behind the creation of the United Nations Empire Armed Forces. Victor is descended from the lineage of knights, and it shows. His entire motivation to enlist in the Navy and then move on to the UN is to save as many people as possible. This story beat should not be taken lightly. Victor is the last line of defense, the ultimate man who opposed Mishimas and G-Corps of the world. If he's not up to the task, it is, quite frankly, over. Victor's title in Tekken 8 is Refined Violence, and man does it show. A man of exquisite taste, he's supposed to be quite a flamboyant womanizer whose exploits both on and off the field have become legendary. A true silver fox. It's actually good that they didn't go with the overly serious world leader persona and decided to season it with a bit of additional spice. We've had a world leader who's supposed to stand in the way of evil corporations, but is too serious for her own good in the previous game with Lydia, and she didn't make it back. Audio-visual presentation is where Victor stands out. His sleek and elegant silver suit immediately draws attention and accentuates his similarly colored hair and beard. In contrast to this, a huge cyber katana on his back makes him even more striking. He actually carries a multitude of weapons alongside it: combat and karambit knives, and a small sidearm pistol. Someone who instantly comes to mind as possible inspiration for Victor is Tom Cruise's character Vincent from the movie Collateral. Both wear silvery gray suits and have gray hair, and both are extremely capable individuals on the battlefield. But that's not the only Vincent that's associated with him. Victor is voiced by the famous French actor Vincent Cassel, who's also a Tekken and Eddie Gordo fan, by the way. The character likeness could also be traced back to Cassel himself, especially his current style. It's more than fair to say that gray hair fits both of them very well. His super spy status, being a leader of what ultimately is a paramilitary unit, and penchant for close quarters combat with a gun and knife in hand also remind us of another famous video game spy. And while Snake didn't age as gracefully as Victor, the similarities are undeniably there. Victor's gameplay is where we have some questions. Akita states that he fights with a super spy style CQB, but if we were to compare him to Reina, she would be a documentary to Victor's anime. His style is way over the top. It's not just CQB, but it's also ninjutsu, kendo, and everything in between. It's safe to say that he's a composite character. His moves are reminiscent of Raven, Noctis, Kunimitsu, and even Lars. And while he's neither first nor last to be assembled in such a way, it's still sad that developers didn't go for something more grounded and realistic. It's understandable that they probably wanted to retain some of Noctis' style from the previous game, but it also looks like he got some of Kunimitsu's moves and strings as well, which begs a question, will she not return at all? Look, we're not against over-the-top gameplay with characters zooming around with teleport moves. It's just Reina's example of a character being more deeply grounded in a real martial art is something we prefer more. Still, it looks like Victor will be a very important character story-wise, and he's deeply intertwined with the stories of both Ravens and Mishimas. That's more than likely his main purpose in Tekken 8, as he's not being included to show us something new gameplay-wise. Azucena is the final newcomer to Tekken 8, and sadly the least interesting one. Her entire character is built around one thing: coffee. Yes, coffee. The thing you drink. Coffee, it's all about coffee. Azucena is a Peruvian girl, the daughter of the head of the Ortiz coffee plantation. Her fight isn't to prove her strength, or to fight injustice, or even to take over the world. She just got into martial arts simply to promote her plantation's coffee. While it's not necessarily a bad goal in and of itself, it just feels shallow in comparison. Peru is only the third biggest exporter of coffee in South America after Brazil and Colombia, so she probably needs this promotion. But sure, not every character needs to be a protagonist in any given fighting game, and from the looks of it, there might be a fun storyline with Lily, a big fan of tea. Still, it will all depend on the execution, and if her own storyline will be quite fun, we won't judge her before we see it. Where Azucena truly shines is her characterization, as well as her presentation. And yes, both can be true at the same time. Her story isn't very interesting, but her bright personality is very fun to see. She looks like she's ready to stop any given fight she's participating in and turn it into a hardcore dance-off. She's not just Reina del Café, she's also a queen of memes. Soon after her reveal, her dance became so viral that people edited many different characters into mashups with her, and it was funny to see every single time. This is something that could have allowed her to become more popular than she could have otherwise if her entire personality wasn't this over the top, especially if she has something else to offer in the full game. Azucena is dressed mainly in her tracksuit, but her jacket and accessories bear traditional Peruvian elements. It's hard for us to judge them, as we don't have anyone from Peru on the team, so trust Ru Kang instead, who managed to recognize that she's Peruvian just with a quick glance. This is, if anything, a testament to the authenticity of the presentation, and even Harada was surprised when he learned about this. The same could be said for her stage, the Ortiz farm, Peruvian mountains, cute alpacas, and people in traditional clothing. Also very interesting is her fighting style. On paper, it's just MMA with inspiration from various martial arts. And it would be true if not for a very important detail. Much like Steve Fox or Akuma, she has an exaggerated feature: evasion. She can enter her Libertador stance that can evade hits while she loses the ability to block. It becomes even more powerful in the heat mode, where her evades are followed up by counter hits. This feels like it could go only two ways. She's either one of the most well-balanced characters, and her evasion is fair, has clear power windows, upsides, and downsides, or she's able to abuse her evasion, becoming as hated as Akuma is in Tekken 7, with nothing in between. It's difficult to talk about her role in the game until Tekken 8 is released, or the inspirations that led to her creation, but a sharp mind could draw parallels between her being in the main roster and Harada enjoying Peruvian coffee all those years ago. Jokes aside, she clearly brings something unique to the table, and with both South American characters from Tekken 7, Katarina and Eddie, being absent from the game, she's a much needed representation for the continent. Hopefully, our reservations about her are unfounded, and we'll simply laugh about what we thought would be the issues holding her back. We'll see in 2 months. These are the only 3 new characters in Tekken 8. You don't consider Jack 8 a newcomer, do you? And while we're excited as the next person to try them out, it's better to approach the hype cautiously. But this trio isn't the only ones that we're excited about. Jun Kazama and Raven make their triumphant comebacks. Jun, in particular, is a very interesting case. She hasn't been seen in the numbered entries since Tekken 2, but later was reworked and updated for the tags. In Tekken 8, she has some additional mechanics, we don't want to call them gimmicks, and ultimately she still feels quite fresh. This could be something that the developers could do moving forward. It's not always necessary to add completely new characters just for the sake of it. It's entirely possible to rework, update, and bring back fighters like Christy, Bruce, Wang, or even Miharu. Actually, scratch all that. Give us Gon back. It's very likely that Reina, Azucena, and Victor won't be the only 3 newcomers in Tekken 8, as we already have plans for the first wave of DLC fighters, and it obviously won't be the only one. However, we don't even have the slightest idea who can be included here. There are some old characters from Tekken 7 that have a clear chance of coming back. Lydia with her unfinished business, Fakamram with his pure Muay Thai, or Kunimitsu with her popularity in the dying moments of Tekken 7. That is, if we disregard her similarities with Victor. It's also hard to imagine a Tekken game without Eddie and Anna, so they could also be back. But this is a tough topic, right? Ask the main of any snubbed character, and they will tell you that Tekken is not the same without their fighter. Then there's also the question of guest. Harada was tactically evasive on this topic for quite some time, but he won't be able to ignore it forever. And while we do have some characters that we would like to see more than others, it's ultimately the developer's call. We just hope they're not inserted into the story in a mindless manner. And quite honestly, the fact that we're talking about this topic is all just a testament to how hyped we are for the upcoming Tekken 8 release. How do you feel about the newcomers? And what are your thoughts on post-release content? Let us know in the comments. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.